Okay. Now in reception, you in your boxers, and it's a lot of us, and they do it by tier. So you got a lot of cats in their boxers walking to the shower heads. It's gonna be about maybe 3 or 4 shower. I'm not gonna say shower heads, but 3 or 4 shower stalls with maybe like 5 or 6 shower heads around them. So basically, what they do is they kind of just rush and escort everybody through the showers. And this is in reception. And again, like I said, you're gonna have your boxers on and maybe even a t-shirt if you plan on washing that shirt out. We in prison, so you don't have access to a washing machine. So the best place to wash, second base place, is to wash it out yourself, and the best place to do it is in the shower. So again, you don't got a gang of brothers walking around naked in the showers. So I need to get that out there, okay? Again, you got your boxers on. So now, this is reception, so depending on the type of program the CO's running, gonna really determine how often you got access to the showers. It's supposed to be twice a week, I believe. And another thing about just daily life in a reception, like I said, you don't got a lot of walk around time. So the majority of the time you in your cell with your cellie. Only when you coming out to eat or anything to do with your intake or whatnot, for the only reason you really coming out that cell for the most part. So again, it's gonna be a lot of talking on a wire, across the wire. Again, I mentioned about learning the fishing lines because it's a whole lot of willing and dealing. Now, politics, again, we in San Quentin, which is up North Bay area. So you got the brothers, you got the North Daniels, the Woods, and the others. The Serranios, of course, was on PC. They was on a separate. I think they may have had them on in Alpine or Badger or Carson, and those are other sections within San Quentin, Alpine, Badger, Carson, and Donner. Those are other sections, and I forget a lot of times they switch out on which one was PC, which one was this, which one is that. Like I ain't no telling what they are now. And also, not on my first time in reception, but maybe my second time, I end up in Alpine as Overflow. And this is, as you can see, how the prisons was getting more crowded. We had Broadway. We was actually on Broadway in Alpine, and I actually saw a cat climb up the tiers to get on somebody. Yeah, it surprised me, but yeah, that's when we first got there. I mean, moved from West Block or whatever, and I guess somebody up on one of the upper tiers was flooding out their toilet or whatever, and the water was leaking, and I don't know what he did, but basically the water was leaking all the way down on us. So, everybody looking up like, hey, we ain't with all that shit. And it was some smack talk, a little back and forth, and this guy reached his hand up, pulled himself up, and he climbed to about the third or fourth tier. So I just thought that was real exciting, being that I was still young at that time, and just to see that everybody at that time thought that was kind of cool that he did that. But anyway, again, this is reception San Quentin. This is not the main line. So I never did time in H unit or even North Block. Now, but however, when you in reception and you get endorsed and they tell you, because usually when you in reception they tell you what prisons you may end up in this going, because they ask you where you want to go, and of course you don't go where you pick. Well, not my experience, but they give you two choices, or they say it's going to either be here or there, and either one of them you going to go to. Now, again, this was my first time, and I believe, what did they say? PBSP and CMC, I believe. So okay, either or. I wasn't really sure about neither of them places, but come to find out, PBSP, Pelican Bay State Prison. So once I knew I was going there, it didn't really matter at that point. But again, usually on your last day or the day of when you're getting shipped out of Quentin, they usually move you to North Block, and that's probably because it's closer to where the bus is coming in from R&R, so they can get your ass up out of there in the morning. So you end up on North Block, and you go into the fifth tier. Now North Block, legendary North Block, is one of the foundational sections in San Quentin. A lot of VIPs have been through North Block. Even actually when we was there just for that night or two. Again, like I said, when we got up in there, of course they already knew. The brothers in North Block already know. We just passing through. They probably do that all the time. So we get to the top tier. And it was funny because, we being in reception, even though at that time tobacco was sold on canteen still, so we had tobacco, but we didn't have it. So, they offered us some tobacco. Of course, my first time, I'm not accepting nothing from nobody. But again, we was assured that it was basically customary for all the brothers. They already knew we on the first day smoking up out of there. So we was assured this wasn't no game. But anyway, again, like I said, VIPs in North Block. So as I get to the top, and we up on the top tier, and they haven't unlocked the tiers yet. So we just standing around talking, vibing with some of the guys in North Block. Now, of course, a lot of these guys been down for a long time. And when we get up there, one of the dudes like, "Hey man, y'all see that was Harrio? Y'all see Harrio?" I'm like, "Who?" He's like, "Harrio." "Oh yeah, I was just reading about dude." So let me go back. Now, when I was in West Block, it was a magazine circulating around called the Feds Magazine. Now, back then, this was like the shit. If you got a hold to a Feds magazine, this was the shit. And I think I read about 3 different magazines. And I remember it was the one with Harrio. I read one with Pimpin' Ken, Suge Knight, and I think I read another one. It was about a female baller. But yeah, man, Feds magazine was back then was one of them real ones. Not everybody knew it. That was exclusive. So if you had a Feds, you was really, you can just make money lending that out. But anyway, again, now of course you probably can look online now and you can see the Feds magazines, but that was the lick. But anyway, so I just heard about Harrio then, and come to see him. Well, I actually didn't see him. I mean, I knew who they was talking about when we first walked in. It was a few brothers on the phone, but I didn't really pay that no mind. I mean, I didn't know, again, like I said, I just really learned about who Harrio was, so I didn't know him by a face like that. And once we got to the upper tier and they was pointing out like, "Oh, that's Harrio," or whatever, and like I was hearing, he was always on the phone back then handling business. And of course, when I'm reading that article, he had a lot of work to do. And so, like again, a lot of VIPs in North Block, but usually that's how I go down in reception, and the next day you on the first thing smoking a Pelican Bay or wherever they gonna send you. But that's how it is in San Quentin reception. And another thing, as far as the whole just programming in there, like I said, you in the cell for the most part, but it's a lot of whittling and dealing, a lot of talking on the wire, a lot of seeing who there, a lot of who's who, and being that it's a lot of different groups, the politics definitely push the line. And It's funny because, again, like I mentioned, San Quentin is the old prison with the long, long tiers, a lot of old school bars. So you got the front bar and you got the back bar. So the front bar will be the first part of the section, and the back bar will be the last part. Now, again, these are long tiers where you on one side of the front bar and you look into the back bar, you barely see. That's a nice little distance, a nice little walk to where you be yelling just to the other side over there. So at back then, I think it was what 10 o'clock. We had what was called the shutdown, the legendary shutdown in Quentin. Everybody that been there, they already know what is going on. And traditionally, the African brothers led the shutdown. Now, after a while, I've been there where you got other groups try to do their little shutdown, like they had one in Spanish for the Pisces, but for the most part, the brothers do the shutdown. And after 10 o'clock, 10:30, that's what it was. Ain't no more talking over the wire. You can, of course, speak amongst yourself, but ain't no more yelling and none of that. And of course, on occasion, there's been people who didn't follow that rule and talking for one another, whether it be a J Cat or something else going on, and a lot of removals was getting taken place. I seen a lot of removals in reception, and not even just from the brothers, even the Woods. The Woods did a few removals. It was even somebody was trying to get get graped up in there in the woods, and they did a removal. So that definitely happened common in San Quentin reception back then. It was definitely a lot of politics, and again, like I said, San Quentin, if you ask me, in a lot of ways was like the Bay Area County Jail, because you had everybody from everywhere there, full force representing. So you're gonna see a lot of faces you knew, a lot of people probably when you was in county that went to prison months ahead of you. You gonna see them, maybe, maybe not, depending. And again, like I said, I only did time here as reception, which was basically West Block for the most part. And also on one other time, I went from West Block, and then they did put me to the gym in Quinn. I was there in the gym for maybe a month or two before they shipped me out. And that was on my second bid. I think then I ended up going to Solid Ass somewhere. But that's San Quentin reception in a nutshell, the quick view. And also, you're gonna day to day again, like I said, Quentin is a legendary prison, so of course they got the death row, and you will occasionally be asked to face that wall when they escorting one of them. I believe Scott Peterson was one of the people who they made us, of course, man walking. Even though man walking meant something else for us too, just like hot water. But when you have to get against that wall, force for the safety of the death row inmate, because a lot of these death row inmates, let's say they didn't get there honorably, so you're gonna have a lot of people for different reasons gunning for them. But yeah, Scott Peterson was one dude I didn't see because you can't look, of course, but And what's the other cat that did that heinous crime years ago with the young girl Polly Class? That guy, him as well. And there was one other person too. I can't remember, but that happens often when you're in San Quentin reception. I'm pretty sure anybody watching this video, you've been there long enough. You didn't have to face that wall before. But yeah, Bad News Brown breaking this shit down for y'all real quick about this little prison life in a nutshell. I'ma holla at y'all. Peace.